And government has launched a new initiative aimed at building a strong network of highly literate communities across the country, where no child is left behind and every citizen is empowered to make a meaningful contribution to the socio-economic transformation of the country. Shortly, I have an official of the ministry in the studio to help us get a better understanding of this initiative. Right now, though, a report capturing the launch in Mamfe in the Eastern region.
Dr. Yao Osei Duchum at Mamfe in the Kuapem South District of the Eastern region. The SEP program would ensure that 90% of basic 4 pupils aged 10 attain foundational competencies in literacy, numeracy, and social-emotional development. It will also ensure that at least 90% of junior high school students pass and transition into senior high school, while 90% of senior high school students pass and transition into tertiary. Education Minister Dr. Yao Osei Duchum explained that under the program, chiefs would play a critical role in ensuring improvement in learning outcomes by providing accommodation and other support for teachers and education providers.
The World Bank have something called learning poverty. They measure proficiency of students in reading by age 10, which coincide with primary 4. Around the world, various countries are struggling. About 87% of children in developing countries cannot read. We want to make sure that every child will read in Ghana by primary 4. So we have begun the process of supporting teachers, bringing in literacy coaches. The goal of this project is to ensure that 90% of our children by primary 4 will be able to read.
Right, so Aaron Chuma Kwabwa, Director of Strategy and Innovation and also Technical Advisor to the Education Minister, is here to share more light on this very important matter. Aaron, you're welcome.
Thank you for having us.
So it's Communities of Excellence.
Yes, please.
What is this about?
What is it about? So I will start with the why, the rationale.
Right.
And as you heard my able minister, the Honorable Dr. Yao Osei Duchum mentioned, that we have a crisis of literacy across the world. The World Bank says developing countries like Ghana are at about 87% learning poverty, meaning that young men and women cannot read by the age of 10 or class 4. If you compare that to the whole world average is 53%. So the developing world is behind, Ghana's behind. With that being said, if you see a problem, you must go out there and do something major to attempt to fix it. And so our thinking process is this: why not focus in on literacy? Because the ability to read and understand is what's going to allow you to do all other subjects, number one. Number two, we're looking at the old adage, it takes a village to raise a child. So we're using our villages and our communities to teach our children to read and to focus in from the community level so that the children can see education as something that's part of what they do, and that the schools and communities will work in partnership as they used to do in the past. Looks like you want to ask another question.
Yeah, because I want to find out why the reading habit has become a challenge.
So I think it's always been, right? And so in fact, if we look at some data, we have some data from something called the EGRA, Early Grade Reading Assessment from 2015. And I was appalled when I looked at that data where it said that only about less than 5% of Ghanaian students in class 2 can read and write.
Less than 5%?
That's 2015, EGRA. So we have always had this challenge. And so we're using data to uncover our challenges to do something about it, because we can always talk about, we have all these graduates, we have all these people in Ghana and Ghanaians across the world who are doing wonderful things in education, which is true, but the core Ghanaian student was struggling to read. And so I just want to say one more point about the data.
Right.
So when you look at the comparison of EGRA in 2015, under 5%, and then you look at the English proficiency rate of class 2 students on the NST 2021, which was 54%. There's been a huge growth.
Right.
In those last 6 or 7 years, so that we have been seeing the issues with our literacy, and we're attacking it in different ways, and this is one of the wonderful programs to really bring that out.
So this is not only a Ghana problem.
It's a worldwide problem. Literacy across the board is a worldwide problem, and also literacy in things like STEM and AI and all the other computer-based literacies that we're looking at, because it's not just I can read the book now. It is I can do something on that computer and I have access and I can understand, I can learn. And so if we don't catch up now, we may be another 100 years behind. And so that's why we're doing what the minister calls leapfrogging strategies and innovative and new things. We cannot do the same things we were doing if we want different and better results.
So what are the set goals for this initiative?
Okay, so what we do is we have something called the 90-90-90 strategy.
What does it mean?
Perfect. So at the first stage, we want to hit that World Bank threshold. At age 10 or class 4, 90% of any given set of students in a community can read and write, right, at grade level. Then the next 90 means that we're going to have that next group will be able to go from JSS to SHS, which is going to be leveraging our free secondary school system.
So
right?
first step, the expectation is that you want to have 90% of people who currently are unable to read
to be able to read by age 10,
by age 10.
class 4. Second step is that those young men and women, 90% of them will then be able to transition from JSS to SHS. And then the last 90% of them will be able to go from SHS through to tertiary. Now, those of you who are mathematicians will say, Akwabwa, that's not 100%. That's actually 72%.
Exactly.
Because I started 100 students, 90, 81, 72. Why is 72 significant? 72 is significant because currently we have 20% as our gross tertiary enrollment, meaning 20% of people who should be in university are in university. If we can go to 72, we would be more than triple the number, and we are already at 20, one of the highest in West Africa. We could become one of the highest in the world.
Is this only targeting public schools, or every school is targeted under this initiative?
So the initiative, the first phase, we were lucky enough to get cabinet approval in 2022. We've been late 2022. We've been writing the program and going through the process, and it is set to do the initiative in public schools for this particular phase, so that we can do the proof of concept, so we can roll it out completely. So the current scope is that we're in 41 of the 261 districts of the country. We are working with 700 plus communities and 700 plus schools and 500 communities. And so
across the country.
Across the country. The great thing is that we are in every single region. And what we did is that we created 6 focus regions, and those were the regions based on the NST. We just used data. We said, where are the places where we either have very huge populations like Asante and Greater Accra, which is 1/3 of Ghana's population with those two, or where are the places where the scores for the NST are not moving the way we want them to move. So we put a little extra focus there, but every single region has multiple districts and multiple schools within the program. No one in Ghana is going to be cut short out of this process.
So this is a Ministry of Education program. The implementation agency is purely
yes, that's a wonderful question. So Ministry of Education is not an implementing agency. Those of us at this level, we are policy people. I write policy, we write policy, and then we have our implementers in our agencies. So the great thing is that we're in deep and complete partnership with GES. GES runs our public school system and does that portion for us. In addition to that, we have NACA. NACA is our curriculum base. So when we're talking about curriculum and doing those things to support reading, they're there. NTC is supporting us with teacher training. We have NACIA, who will do an inspection to ensure, they're the regulator, to make sure that GES is doing the right thing, that MOE is supporting them. And then perhaps even most importantly, at least within the ministry and the agencies, we have complementary education agency. So we bring out of school children and adult learners into the process.
And I just want to understand that before starting this, you've done your own homework, you've identified the challenges, and then you have solutions to fix them. So the root cause, and how will you be able to address it, such that maybe next year when we meet by this time, the percentage of the reading habit would have gone up?
So so let's do a couple of them. One of the biggest issues is making sure that there's a much time on task to literacy. We have a very spread out curriculum, even at the primary level. You have a student telling you they're doing 12 classes. But if that student can't read, how then can they use the book to do the technical drawing and the rest?
Right.
And so in places that this has worked, like Obuasi East, we have changed the timetable to ensure that there's more time spent on literacy. They've done literacy initiatives like 100 Days of Reading, where they will change the timetable and even do after school.
And this was during the pilot?
No, this for Obuasi, this was on their own. There's some other places that have done it. So there's some schools. So like when you said, like, have we done our homework?
Right.
We've watched what districts have been doing on their own initiative. We say, this is working. So we brought those people to be almost like the technical advisors to ensure that as we do the program, we can see it. So time on task is a huge thing. And then, like we saw in the video, it's about the community. You see, I know that in my parents' time, and maybe your parents' time too, if your family went to the farm, they would cut some bordier or something like that for your teacher.
Of course.
They were taking care of your teacher, so your teacher would take care of you and spend extra time. Anytime there was any kind of support that was needed, your teacher received it also. And your teacher was so much a part of the family that if they had to chastise you in any way, it wasn't that, it's that this person is trying to support me. So that connection with community, family, even religious leaders. So this program has the chiefs involved. Nananum, we have our queen mothers, we have our imams, we have our Christian religious leaders, we have our traditional religious leaders. All of those people are involved. So those are the two things: time on task and really giving direct intervention, and then bringing the community in to give students a feeling that everywhere you're going to be surrounded by that literacy, and it doesn't go away.
Right, great. But again, the teacher is at the center of this.
Yes.
So you've already trained them, or you have special teachers for this?
So that's the great part. So we're leveraging things like our PLCs, our professional learning communities. So if you're doing a professional learning community on right now, let's say on action reading or whatever it is, that is already happening. So we're going to leverage the training that's happening. And as I said earlier, NTC was their job. They train teachers.
Right.
And so we're doing the training to the level of everyone involved. Like we said, all the community members. We're also training at the district level, and we're training at the teacher level. And another one of our partners is NSS. So NSS is coming in.
That's National Service Secretariat.
National Service Secretariat is coming in with, people say, I'm doing NSS and I'm teaching. But now we're actually even giving some of our teachers teaching assistants who are NSS. So that in that room of 45 students, there'll be 2 adults, 1 fully trained, 1 who's learning, to even give them more time and energy. So the teachers are being trained. The district heads are being trained. PROs came to a training and with us just last week. Even the training officers are being trained, so we're training the trainers.
So in terms of getting the best possible outcomes, has this been integrated into the curriculum, or there will be special days for this exercise?
So that's the great part about this, is that we're working with NACA. And so as we work with NACA and working with GS, we're going to put all these things into the timetable. And so we need to do the pilot study. That is why it's not rolling out in 30,000 schools all around Ghana. We are still making sure that as we integrate these pieces, what will work best, what would need to be changed. And so it's like any other type of thing, we're doing the proof of concept. But what I will say is this: even at the launch, things are looking very, very positive.
Right.
I've been back in Ghana for 2.5 years, and I haven't seen an event with so much community engagement where the chiefs are saying, anything you want, I will do, right? And so now they're making commitments of providing us with housing for teachers, perhaps, or other things that are actually going to lead to those outcomes. But like you said, it's about finding out how we fully integrate this system, and so that it isn't just a program, but it becomes part of everything we do. And so lastly, we use things like Jolly Phonics and all the other systems that are in place. I know what you're afraid of and what Ghana's afraid of.
Right.
When you're bringing something new, you're going to remove something. No, we're just adding a little piece to it, right? You have the soup and you need a little bit more spice. This is just the spice. We're not going to make you go eat rice instead of having
make it even
soup.
better.
Exactly.
So I mean, let's look at it. So this, as you roll out this plan, not every school will benefit. Not every school, at least for now.
Yes, please.
So across the country, how many schools are we looking at?
So across the country right now, my scope tells me that we are in 700 plus schools.
700 plus schools.
Yes.
In all the 16 regions of the country.
Yeah, in total, yes.
And how was the selection done?
The selection was done. In fact, we did applications, and everyone told us it wouldn't work. How can you make people apply? How can you make people apply?
The schools themselves.
Yeah, the districts, they're like, they don't apply.
Yeah.
But we applied by district, 261 districts. You know how many applied?
No.
257.
Almost all the districts
Yes.
applied.
And do you know how many applications we received?
No.
Not, you would think 257, right? But we had a cluster system. We received over 800 applications.
So the participation was great.
Everyone wanted to be a part of it, and I was shocked that people applied. So we took in the applications, and then we had our GES people. We had everyone look over, and we gave them surveys. We gave them almost like an exam for it, and we went over it. And if you met the criteria, you met the criteria, and we selected you. And then if you did not meet the initial criteria, we would make, so if you were green, you made it fine. If you were amber, we knew what we were doing. If you were yellow, we knew what we were doing and how to support you in that process, right? And so we initially selected over 2,500, and then we looked and said, if we do 2,500, and we spread
2,500 means
2,500, right?
People.
If we
He's from America, so I understand him.
if we spread it too far, right? If we spread it too thin, everyone won't get the gist. They won't get enough.
Right.
So then we went down to 1,005, and then we broke it down even less, and we said, let's do the 500. But there's so many communities that are ready for this, that need this, and we gave priority to those communities again and those districts that have struggled on NST. It's like, we are not going to say because you did a beautiful application, you did everything wonderful, you immediately did it. You know what we did? We asked them for pictures. And you know another thing we did? We didn't go in blind. We wanted the chiefs engaged, right? So we actually took thumbprints and signature of every chief of every community. And if your chief did not sign, if your district assembly person did not sign, if your MP did not come in and do some sort of endorsement, we didn't even let you turn the application in. We wanted it to be holistic.
But again, it also, then the next question will be the advantage the beneficiary schools and students will have as against those who did not qualify. What is the plan to make it a comprehensive goal?
That's the whole point. The whole point is to do this well enough to receive funding, obviously, and in the budget through GOG, and then also more funding through our development partners. This program is actually being set up by one of our development partners that's been supporting us for the last several years, Big Win Philanthropy, right? And so as a development partner in this, we cannot go to them and say, give us $1 billion. We can tell them, give us this amount so we can prove to you, so we can get more from you and from others. And I don't want us to think of it as, well, this 500, this 1,000, this 800 got it, and I did not receive anything. We are still giving the baseline of education in Ghana is still rising. The tide is still rising and is being consistent at that level, and we must do something. So what we need to be happy about is there is a program that is going to support. There's a program that the application process was transparent. There was a program that it wasn't politically motivated.
Right.
And it's a program that will lead to getting all of us engaged in this so that within the next 3, 4, 5, 10 years, we will have this as part of what we do forever. There are many things happening in the education system right now that were piloted as a small level and now are holistically engaged.
Sure.
You have to give us the opportunity to do the pilots so that we can be holistic. Otherwise, no one jumps directly into it.
Right. Before I let you go,
Yes,
so
please.
what will be the end game and your expectation, let's say after 2 years?
2 years. So 2 years is very simple. 2 years, our people in class 2 will go from this 54%, right, to that 90% we discussed because they'll be in class 4. So if we're going short term, we know that our first group of people that we'll be testing are our current class 2 people. So yeah, they will be at that 90. In this set of schools, in this set of communities, we're putting forth that effort and they will meet that initial goal for 2 years. But I want us to not do the short-term 2-year goal.
5 years, 10 years, 15 years.
So when you, where's your hometown, if you don't mind me asking?
I come from Insuta in the Ashanti region.
Wonderful. I'm from Equianse, Eastern Region, Brim North, represent. So when I go to Equianse right now, I don't see a group, a large group of literate, engaged young men and women between 25 and 40. In the next 15 years, the goal is that all of us who left Equianse for greener pastures because there's nothing in Equianse would have gotten our literacy, gotten our SHS, have gotten our tertiary degrees, and have come back and built Equianse that bank, built Equianse that new hospital, have put roots there, and to make these places thriving places, communities to thrive again, so that we don't run off to Kumasi, Accra, Ho, Cape Coast, Tamale. So that is what I'm saying, that the community itself will reap the benefits of their own children, right? Because you're working and supporting these young men and women in your community so they stay there, support you. And if they leave, they will remit, whether in kind, in finances, or with their education.
All right, thank you very much, Aaron. And we wish you the very best as you roll out this reading, or as you still have the reading habit in the Ghanaian.
Please, thank you.
Hopefully, maybe in the next year or two, we'll come here and do evaluation of the work done so far.
Please, I cannot wait. 2 years from now, we're going to get these numbers.
Right. Thank you so much.
All right.
All right. So Aaron Chum Akwabwa is Director of Strategy, Innovation, and also Technical Advisor to the Education Minister. The project is Communities of Excellence, and the idea is to encourage people to read more. And they have set themselves a very exciting target, and is giving himself short to medium to long-term goal. And the idea is that we're going to have 100%, reading sort of percentage in terms of people who take advantage of this program. Thank you so much for coming. Right. So